Listen, just because something looks great, really dive in and understand, are you ready to give it everything it needs to be successful? Where are you choosing to be present? Technology moves so fast. You have to take the time every day to stop and learn.
What is the future of AI?
If I knew that, are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh.
Tracy Galloway, Corporate Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Microsoft Americas, leading enterprise-scale AI transformation across more than 35 countries, reshaping how teams plan, sell, and execute.
Today is a very different world than 5 years ago, even than 2 years ago. People follow you and work for you and work hard for you because they respect you and you respect them.
So good.
My team, they've grown, they keep growing with the business. Bring more to us, we're ready to take on more.
What do you do to address burnout?
So when you bring on more, what are we getting rid of? You can't just keep adding and adding and adding.
What's the biggest leadership challenge that you face today?
Well, let me start with,
Welcome back to CEO Tech Live, brought to you by Hexaware. I'm your host, Ben Fanning. We've got a treat coming your way today with Tracy Galloway. She's Corporate Vice President and Chief Operations Officer, Microsoft America. She leads operations across one of the world's most influential technology companies, spanning 190 countries and over 228,000 employees. She operates at the center of execution and scale, driving performance and alignment across a region that powers a massive share of Microsoft's global impact. And this includes leading enterprise-scale AI transformation across more than 12,000 sellers in 35 countries, reshaping how teams plan, sell, and execute. Tracy, thank you for joining us today.
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's get right to it.
Okay.
What's the biggest leadership challenge that you face today?
Oh my goodness. Today is a very different world than 5 years ago, even than 2 years ago. If you think about what the goal sets are, at least mine, I've got to drive top line growth. I have to make sure we've got cost savings, and I've got to drive market share. We've got analysts that are always worried every day, how fast is AI returning on the investment back to the business? And it is a very, very challenging time to kind of keep all the plates spinning at the same exact time. So I'd say that's probably my biggest challenge. And
People are looking at you all
yes.
under the microscope. How is Microsoft handling this? How are the leaders, how are the top executives handling it? Do you feel like you're under the microscope all the time?
I think we do. Listen, at the end of the day, technology moves so fast. And so to be a leader right now in Microsoft, you have to take the time every day to stop and learn. If you aren't reading the appropriate news articles, if you aren't reading the releases that we have inside the company, if you aren't studying how we're positioning different things, you're kind of behind the eight ball. And that wasn't where we had to be years ago. If you had just tenure under your belt, you were the expert because it was in your head. Sure. Now you've got to spend that 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day studying. So it's a bit different world.
So how do you give yourself permission to do that when you got all the details? Because Chief Operating Officer, you're that title, and you're like, you got to be in the details. You got to be at such a minute level operationally, but then you're making time to learn. Like what?
I know. It doesn't, if you don't though, you're not relevant and you're not capable of being able to make some of the business decisions that you have to. So I'll give you an example. If I didn't understand some of the features and functionalities of the way Copilot worked, we wouldn't have been able to roll it out effectively across our sales force and find some of the return on investment we needed. So we've got to understand what are the core capabilities of the tools, the products, and the outcomes we're trying to drive, put those into the workflows that we're trying to achieve, and then I can start to really get into operational savings, I can start to look at productivity enhancements, and I can really start to drive change in the company.
So what are your recommendations for leaders out there who are overwhelmed? They're probably using Microsoft like everyone is, and they're trying to find time in their day to make time for that learning and making sure that what they're learning on, they're going to get the most out of that time.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, when you use tools effectively, and I'm not just saying this because I'm Microsoft, it doesn't matter whether you're using our tools or using, ChatGPT or other tools, you can use things effectively. Let it read your emails. Let it do automated responses for you. Things that used to take us time should be more menial tasks today. And so when you can really effectively use some of these tools over the more menial tasks, you can find that hour in your day to do the more important things that you've got to go do. It's just prioritization. And sometimes, transparently, I've got to say, no, I can't do that one-to-one, or I can't do that meeting, or I need an extra hour in the day. But I can't find an executive today that probably isn't working less than 60 or 70 hours a week, to be transparent.
It seemed like AI was going to maybe help us work a little less because it was going to be so helpful.
Sure.
But it sounds like you're seeing what a lot of other executives are, that are working more.
I think we all have a DNA where we just take on more. So if I have an hour or two freed up, I'm going to fill it with something else. So I'm not sure that it's the same type of work that used to consume my day. It's probably more important tasks, or more important thinking, or more important outcomes that I'm driving today, because AI is doing a lot of the basics for me in the workflow.
When's the time you had an unexpected twist or failure in your career, and how did it lead to your success or growth on down the road?
I would say it would probably be at my previous company, which was Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And I was there 16 years of my career. I was moving pretty fast through the ranks through those 16 years, and I was very blessed in that I was given lots of opportunity to kind of grow and change different roles every couple of years. And this particular role they offered me was to run the partner organization. And I knew it was a VP title. I knew it was more money. I was excited. I had 2 young kids at the time, and I thought, absolutely, I'm in. Well, what did I not do? I probably didn't look at the depth of what it was going to take to do that job. It was across the Americas. I had the federal government in my organization as well, with all of the partners calling on them. It was a huge learning curve, first and foremost. It was more travel than I had ever anticipated. It was more public speaking than I'd ever anticipated. And I think I chose it for probably a great reason, which was, oh my gosh, more money and more title and more opportunity.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
It was, but I didn't balance the personal and the professional balance that I needed at that particular time in my life. And I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. And it was probably the hardest career choice I had to make, that wasn't for me at that time. And I had to come forth and say, listen, I can't sustain this kind of travel and activity and all of those things. And so I think it taught me a lesson that just because something looks great, really dive in and understand, are you ready, both personally and professionally? Do you have the caliber and the capabilities to go do that job? Now, I'm not talking about stretching. Every job's a stretch, right? And you should take that on actively. But are you ready to give it everything it needs to be successful? And so I've kind of learned that along the way, and I think I've reflected, and now I'm able to really go into each opportunity that I have with kind of an open mind and a really excited opportunity.
You really got me thinking when you said that. It's like really filtering a good opportunity. Okay, it's a good or a great opportunity, but is it a great opportunity for me?
For me. That's
in my situation. And also it comes back to what I heard you saying there is success is really measured by different lenses, and a professional success and your personal success can be balanced, but you got to have a clear line of sight on what that looks like.
Absolutely.
It doesn't seem like it held your career back in any way to make that. I mean, you've accelerated, you're doing big things. At the time, did it feel like professionally you were taking a step back, or did you kind of have a way that you were going to, like a bigger picture in terms of how you were going to work everything?
I wasn't really sure how the company was going to take it. And so I approached at that time my boss, which was Robert Vry, and he worked for Meg Whitman, who was our CEO at the time, and we had a conversation. Yeah. And they were actually very pleased that I came forth because they had another opportunity on the other end for me. And so we moved out of that role, and I was moved into what we consider a corporate vice president role, and I ran all of the services organization across the Americas. So by being truthful, by coming forth and saying, this isn't the right time for me, but I'm willing to, A, stay in the role until you can find a successor, B, I'm willing to make a lateral. I ended up getting promoted, was the most ironic thing. And they said, great, because we have this other opportunity we want to put you in. But I think it just taught me, be truthful with where you are in that space and time.
And really engaging with your leaders like you engaged with, I mean, I can't imagine having a career conversation with Meg Whitman. I know. For God's sakes.
She's fabulous.
But you were able to be creative and collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of leaders don't have that dialogue and relationship with their with their teams. What do you do to foster that kind of relationship with the people you work with who in corporate hierarchy, there can be a big divide there?
Sure, there is. You know, right now, we were just talking about learning. We were talking about the stress. We were talking about all the things that people need to do. I think one of the things that leaders need to really be careful of is not to become insular, meaning I've got so many things on my plate. I've got to go learn. I've got to do these things. When a leader goes insular and starts really focusing on them, not just themselves to be selfish, but their work or their things that they're trying to do and not have outward presence, what I've seen, especially as fast as things are moving today, managers get worried, individual contributors get worried. And so what we have to actually do is flip it the other way around and figure out how we can be more present. It's not just a quarterly town hall at an executive level. It's not just an email. It's where are you choosing to be present? Where are you reiterating the values that we're working on, the objectives that we're working on, the core outcomes that we need to go focus on? And then how are you enabling your managers so that they feel confident? Because they're the ones that are in front of those individual contributors every single day. They need to be making sure that they have clarity on what their expectations are and what they're driving. So I think we find ourselves in a unique time in that there's so much work to be done sometimes, but if you don't take a pause and you're not communicating effectively, it can really trickle all the way down to the individual level, and then you've got ineffectiveness in your organization.
So you travel a lot.
I do.
Your company is a tech company. How are you fostering that kind of culture and organization that's built on speed, that's built on tech, that people can dehumanize our communication so easily because they forget about this human element. So how are you thinking about that leadership-wise?
So as you said, I travel a lot. So the first thing I try to do when I'm traveling is wherever I'm at, there's probably a Microsoft office, and I'm going in, and my teams are there. They're all around the United States or in Latin America. We've got people in Canada, so we make very purposeful trips in order to connect with teams in a very human, one-on-one way and one-on-many way. The other thing I do is our technology is fabulous today. When you turn on a Teams call and you have your camera on, and by the way, if people don't have their camera on, I say, hey, I'm going to tell you, turn on your camera. I want to be able to see what your expression is, how do you feel about things. We use chat a lot in a big call so that you can kind of read how the sentiment of the call is going as well. So there's a lot of ways to connect that while we're not looking face to face like you and I are right now, but you're still connecting in a very human way.
I think you just gave us a great playbook for like really simple leadership strategies for using tools and leadership and with human presence.
The other thing I use all the time is humor. You can always get somebody that's uncomfortable laughing with just humor. You call out yourself when you're, something funny, like you laugh, and it just kind of like takes the stress out of work, because none of us are that important that we can't just stop and have a good chuckle.
Do you have a favorite moment where you're able to bring in a bit of humor because there's probably a lot of highs. I mean, imagine there's probably a lot of tension going on at Microsoft all the time.
Well, let's just have the humor that you and I just went through. I have half a crew fixing my hair, and you don't have any hair. Like, come on, this is funny, right?
This is true. Yes.
Right.
So you're able to, find those moments to really bring it in.
Right. You have to.
What a great message. What's the worst leadership advice you've encountered, and what did you learn from it?
Well, let me start with advice is nothing more than a person's experiences and their opinions. And so you have to take it for what that is. They could have 2 years of experience. They could have 25 years of experience. And it's all based on how they feel and what they experienced. I mean, I think first and foremost, you have to take advice with a grain of salt. Let's start with that. Does it meet your core values? Does it make you feel like you can action it? Is it from someone you trust and respect? So there's a lot of questions, I think, that come with advice. But I would say probably some of the most unique advice, I'll say it this way, was people that always want to tell you what the job is or the job isn't that you're going into. And they go, oh, you're not going to like it. Oh, this isn't going to be good. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Well, have you been in this job? Do you understand? Or how did you frame that, right? And so I think I've tried to slough off a lot of advice towards the end of my career. Probably much younger, I took a lot more in and probably pondered it and thought about it and worried about it. And at this point in time, I kind of go, well, thanks. I really appreciate your advice. And then I do what I think is the best thing to do. And I think that's most important, right? Does it meet with what I think is the right approach? And then if it's wrong, there's only one person to blame, and that's me.
Accountability from that standpoint.
Absolutely.
So that, I think that's really interesting because people do have perspectives and they haven't been in the seat or they're thinking about a job. You've taken on a job that very few people have sat in or been in. Why did you take this job in the first place?
Well, okay, so I took this job. It was 235 people in a U.S. footprint, and that was 5 years ago. And then about halfway into a year, hey, can I give you the innovation centers? Oh, by the way, we want to give you this tech piece here. Then it was, oh, we want to bring in North America. Now it's the Americas. And then just last year, we brought in global pieces to it. So I have about 1,800 employees. 300 reside in Asia and EMEA, and the rest are in the Americas. And I think it's been an interesting ride because I think the good news is, hopefully people gave me what I could handle. And they kept seeing more and more opportunity to bring more in. And I was able to just bring it into the fold and keep running the business with the most effective outcomes. So I'd like to believe people don't give you more than you can handle. And that you, again, based on my prior experience, I would say, hey, no mas, I'm at the point of no return, right?
Did you feel like you can negotiate in those moments? Like, hey, I don't think it makes sense to have that huge a thing at it, or you felt like, okay, we've got momentum, this
Bring it
is
on.
happening?
I did. I
Okay.
felt like, you know what, we were doing such great work and we were driving, amazing outcomes, and the growth was significant, but it wasn't more than we could handle. And my team was fabulous. I have about 11 leaders that work for me, and each one has just been a diamond in the rough. They've grown. They keep growing with the business, and so it's been the opportunity to say, bring more to us. We're ready to take on more.
What do you do to keep them from, I guess two things that I think about Microsoft danger areas would be, one would be scope creep, because just like in your example, more was added.
Right.
And Microsoft seems ubiquitous in so many ways. You can literally be focused on so many different things. How do you keep your your team of 11 and the other teams focused on things? And the second thing is, what do you do to address burnout in a 24/7, 365-day-a-year culture?
Yeah. So I think the first thing you've got to do as a leader is when you bring on more, what are we getting rid of? We have to do both pieces of work. You can't just keep adding and adding and adding without something being purposefully taken off the bottom and saying this no longer is work that we're going to do or work that we don't find has value, or can something like AI take some of those things off our plates, right? So we do that work I would say every year, but to be real honest with you, it's probably about every 6 months. We've got to go look and say, what else are we taking off our plate? What are we shedding?
So
I
you're
think it's important
sunsetting
balance.
different projects or responsibilities
Exactly.
to create that capacity.
Exactly. And then back to the idea of fun. One of the things I did with my leadership team just last year in December is I said, it's not only the work that you do, but you're taking time away from your spouse and your children, your significant others. So bring them. And we all went to Vegas together. And we went to a Las Vegas Raiders game. We had dinner together. We spent 2 days, and all of the spouses got to know each other. And I think sometimes there's just
That's a rarity.
I think it is, but it's important to me because it's important that my team feels like I appreciate them. And I think it's really important that we appreciate the spouses because they're giving up a lot of time for their loved one to be working with me.
That's refreshing. I've worked in cultures where it's like, hey, we didn't really know, we didn't even know if each other, like if we had kids.
Really?
Like it was really like, it kept a lot of separation, and I don't really know why. I think it was kind of role modeled early on in the corporate culture.
But don't you think back? I mean, when I was younger, you change your job. You think, I'm going to go in this one tougher. I'm going to go in this one leaner. I'm
Like
going to
a
go with
facade or,
You wanted to be the
Facade.
kind of badass, right?
yeah.
That's never going to work. And I've realized that over the years, you try it and it lasts for me about 5 minutes of thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to. People follow you and work for you and work hard for you because they respect you and you respect them.
So good. Fun question.
Yeah.
What is one of the most fun or helpful ways you've been able to bring AI into your personal life and been helpful?
My son is a ski racer, and he has been a ski racer for, 14 years. He took a gap year this year and has focused on traveling and skiing. Then he said, I think I want to go to college. So here's mom on the computer.
All right.
Tell me with a ski bum who has this GPA, this SAT, this ACT score, and likes these kinds of things, what are the schools he should apply to that give us both a difficult, a medium, and a layup opportunity?
Okay.
Spit out 10 schools. We applied to all of them. He'll be going to Oklahoma, which was a bit of a stretch, but he's going to Oklahoma University in the fall. But he says, ooh, SEC school.
All right.
Yes, he is. He's really excited.
Wow. Fantastic.
So that was my personal use of AI. I needed like all the help I could get to get him into school.
There's a lot to synthesize though.
It was.
There. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel and get the old book out and look through it. You can.
Yeah, and don't need to go hire the college coach anymore, right? It was like, okay, where are the best opportunities for him based on what he wants to go do?
How's the skiing in Oklahoma?
Not going to be great. Not going to be great, but he gets 5 weeks off at the holidays. He'll come back and return during Christmas time.
So what's it been like working with Hexaware and getting to know them?
You know what? It's been a fabulous opportunity. I'm really looking forward to tonight's conversation. We have a conversation before I get up on stage with Replit, and they really talk about how they're working with Hexaware and how they're really embedding AI into the flow of work. So that's great. And then what I'm really excited with Hexaware is they're working on becoming their own customer zero, building out their AI practices and how they're going to service their customers. So great partner, happy to be here.
So last question.
Yeah.
What is the future of AI?
Question. If I knew that, I'd be rich. Oh my gosh. Listen, I think the continuation of technology being just ubiquitous between both personal and professional, that line will continue to blur. And so if you think about it, it was a big thing to put your personal email on your cell phone or on your work laptop. I think our workflows will just be back and forth using the same tools and technology, whether it's personal or professionals. I think where this is going, at least in the human experience. As far as like quantum computing and all that, I am not an engineer, and boy, I think those people, I root them on because I don't know the answer to that.
You've probably got a lot of them on staff.
We have a lot of smart people in this company, and it's amazing to hear them speak, but yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Well, congratulations on your success, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Microsoft and your team.
I appreciate that. Thanks. Great conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy.